think we can start. Hi, everybody. So I'm gonna be reading today a book, Viva Frida. So I brought a few things outside to to celebrate, to do this reading, and to show you a little bit of how Viva Frida was made. We are in the week of Global Read Aloud, and I love reading aloud, and some of my books are part of the Global Read Aloud, which means that this week teachers and children are going to be reading some of these books. Among them is Viva Frida. So what I decided to do, because I'm going to be traveling this week, I actually leave tonight, but I'm still in my studio, so I thought it was a good idea today to read you Viva Frida, because I'm still here and I have some of the material that I can show you how Viva Frida was made. So this is the book Viva Frida, and I put here this papel picado, and this is one of the things that I created when I was making Viva Frida. I get asked a lot, like, so how do you make Viva Frida? And first I had an idea. I wanted to make a book about a person that I admire a lot, which is Frida Kahlo. But also, I wanted to make something for children. And for children, so that they could recognize that artists like Viva Frida, like Frida Kahlo actually, they are people who seem to have extraordinary talents, but in reality, we do have all those things that we all need to become artists. So I wanted to make a book that any child could see and recognize himself, herself, themselves in this book, and see that we all have everything we have to become artists and to create. So I'm gonna show you some things here. I already showed you this papel picado, which I made by hand. I cut it so I could create the illustrations for Frida, Viva Frida. And what I did at first, yes, I made some drawings and I made a plan, and then I decided how I was gonna illustrate it. And sometimes I make paintings to illustrate, but in this case, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make this story with puppets, with real figures, because in the book Viva Frida, there is a moment like kind of reality, but there is also a time in when she starts dreaming. And I wanted the dream to be different from the time when she is not dreaming yet. And so what I decided is I made puppets with the same technique that some artists make, the puppets that go into the movies, like the stop motion movies. And for that, I had a friend, another artist, who made some armatures for me. These armatures, I cannot show them to you, because what I did with the armatures is I created puppets. And I made a drawing of my design for the puppet of Frida Kahlo, and then I sent it to Mike, and he gave me this armature, and then I start to cover this armature and make it into something that will look like like Frida Kahlo. And I'm gonna show you right now my puppet. This is the figure that I created so that I could make the illustrations. I had already made a plan. I made drawings first, and then I needed to make those drawings into something that will go inside a book, final art. And for that, I was gonna make it with photographs. And the photographs were gonna be of puppets, títeres, los llamamos en español, just like this one. So what it is it is a figure that I gave it a body, like you can see. I gave it with clay. I made the legs, the feet, the hands, the arms, the neck, and also the face. And this armature allows it to move. So inside it is made of fabric and some stuffing, like the one that you put inside your pillow, so that it's flexible. And actually this part is very flexible too, because it's fabric that I put inside the stuffing. Then I, with my needle and the thread, I put it all together, I closed it, and then I painted the whole thing so it would look like her skin. So even though this is a different material from this, they look similar because I painted them with acrylic paints to look like it was her skin. And you might see something, you might notice something. Frida doesn't have eyes. She has just like these blank eyeballs. And the reason why I made her like that is because this is the only puppet, the only doll that I created. But in the story, she needs to be alive. She needs to smile. She needs to, sometimes she needs to close her eyes. Sometimes she needs to look surprised. And I wasn't gonna be able to do that with this figure only. So what I did is that we took pictures, we took photographs. I had the help of my partner at the time, and he was a photographer, and he helped me to take the pictures of the models. And then I put them inside my computer, and then I started adding all the things that made her look like she's smiling or she's dreaming. For that, I needed to create everything that was gonna be in the scene. And those scenes required some other characters. Also, all the clothes that Frida is wearing, I had to make it. I did embroidery. I gave her some hair with the wool that comes from some alpacas, which is like very soft hair. And then I made things that she could, for example, wear, like Frida Kahlo, the real Frida Kahlo, who lived many years ago. She doesn't live anymore, but she lives through her art. But Frida loved to wear flowers on her head, so I made her flowers that she could wear as well. I gave her companions. I'm gonna show you a little bit of those companions. She used to have dogs, so I gave her a Xoloscuintle dog, which is those dogs that don't have any hair on them. So I made my own figure, again with an armature inside and stuffing, and this is just like the fabric that I use from a black stocking, and this is the dog. And this is not the same dog. At least it won't look exactly the same when you see it in the book, because I modified it with my computer. Like, for instance, I took a photograph of my dog's nose, and then I used that photograph and I took the nose and I put it on the figure of this doggy to create the illustration that is inside the book. I'm here seeing some questions. Las ilustraciones primero las hago en papel y luego en computadora. Sí. I made them in my computer first because, I'm sorry, I drew them first. Primero las dibujé porque era mi plan. I needed to know how I was gonna make those illustrations. But later on, it's like if I was gonna paint something, probably I make a little drawing and it doesn't look very good yet. But eventually I'm gonna have to paint it and make it into something that will go into a book. And sometimes to do that, I might paint it with colors, but in this case, I was gonna paint it with photographs and with digital work. So I put those photographs inside of my computer, and then I start modifying them so that they would look like what I wanted them to look. I wanted them to look like Frida was creating or celebrating or dreaming, and I couldn't do that just only from the photographs. I needed an extra layer of that to make it look alive. So here's also Mr. Sala's class. So hi everybody, I'm so happy that you are all here, because I'm gonna show you some more of the things that I did. Like when I started making the figures, I use a type of clay that is made for dolls and for modeling. And for instance, I started using a figure just like that. Do you see how this looks like a nose? And it's the profile of Frida. And after I made that, I started molding more and more clay around so that then it will look more like this. Can you see? It's like 3D. It still doesn't look exactly like the face of Frida, but it's taking shape, and I kept adding and taking off some clay and molding it with my fingers and with some tools that I have, like knives and things like that, until it looked kind of like what I imagined the face of Frida Kahlo. This is what I did. Now, this comes out so that I could have a doll that could move her head from one side to the other. And I was showing you that there are some animals in the life of Frida Kahlo, so I wanted to include them in the book. And this is the little monkey that you see inside the book. Again, this is an armature inside, and you can make armatures like this. I have made them too, and they are just with, you use wire, and wire that is soft, and you start molding it. And that wire, because it's also flexible, can help you move it. This is an armature that was created by an artist. So it's a little more refined. But then I had to create the monkey, and for that I use, again, this is wool, and I use a needle. I don't have it right here, but I use a needle to mold and give it shape. It was a lot of work. Can you imagine just give it shape with only one needle? But that's how I did it. It's like you sculpt it with one needle, and because you push the threads together, and then they get like clumped together, and it starts taking form. So that's how this little changuito, can you see it? I'm gonna show it here too, because I have two cameras, and so that people can appreciate it a little better. And this is my changuito I made for Frida Kahlo. I also made a deer. This year I made the armature myself, just the way I was explaining to you. Inside there is wire, I tie them together, I move them around, so it will have the shape of a little deer inside, but then I had to put it muscle and skin and hair, and again I did it with felt. So this is a kind of wool and different colors, and I just added it with a needle, little by little. It took me many hours, many days, but at the end I had this little deer. I added some materials. She has some eyes that I bought. She has a nose that I made with clay, and she also appears in the book Viva Frida. There is un cotorrito, because Frida used to have birds and parrots in her house, and also in her work. Remember that Frida loved to paint self-portraits, and she will paint some of those self-portraits with the things that she loved the most, and some of those were people, but they were also plants and her animals. So for the book, I also made a self-portrait of, or what I consider an interpretation of the portraits that she used to paint of herself, where she places animals and plants and herself as a way to see herself, to see who she was, and to show in her art who she was. We do all do that. Don't you sometimes like take selfies? Frida used to take a lot of selfies. Instead of taking them with a camera or with her iPhone, because there weren't any phones that could do that, she will look at herself in the mirror, and she will create paintings that represent who she was. So as you can see, she added things like symbolisms, and this is not a painting of Frida, but this is my interpretation, inspired in some of the ways that Frida used to portray herself in her self-portraits. So other things that I did, I created like little brushes, because she was a painter and I needed to have some of her materials, our materials in there. So I made these tiny brushes from toothpicks, and I took hairs from my own brushes, and I just put them together. I bought some materials that you can find for people who make models, like architects, and these are like the tubes for the paints. I actually have some of these myself, and they are big size, but these are small because they are supposed to be so that Frida can use them, she can paint. Also, I bought some, these are some bottles, glass bottles, that I found at the craft store, but I modified them. So I painted them to look like as they are used and old, and I put inside things like the colors. I actually shaped my color pencils, and those shapes that came out, I use them as powder to put inside bottles like this, so that you can imagine that this will be the places where Frida used to take her colors from. She will prepare them with some oils and some other materials so that you could use them to paint on a piece of canvas. So this is another little bottle that I put a label and I painted it so it will look like it's an old thing and it's been used. I'm gonna show it here too to the other camera. A lot of things had to be created. Here is the box that she has. I bought this box and then I painted it with my own colors somewhere. Oh, here, actually, I have everything in little bags. Here is the key. Let me see, I just saw it. This is the key that will open this this trunk. In reality, this trunk, I bought it in the store and then I painted it, but this key, I made it. I went with my friends who are silversmiths, which means that they work with silver. And they taught me how I could make a key just like this. So I had to go and buy, it was here in Mexico, I had to go and buy a coin, a silver coin. And they taught me, showed me how I could, with the right tools, I could melt that coin, and then when it's melted, you can shape it in different places. Now it is very hot, and so you have to wait until it's cold. You have to make different pieces, and with hammers and pliers. Finally, I created all the parts of this key, and then eventually I put it together again with fire. So this is the key that appears also in the book Viva Frida. Let me see, Rosa Chin and Gail Wadsworth are here. So hi everybody, hi to all of you who are here looking a little bit of this creation of a book like Frida, Viva Frida. So in the book there is also paintings and drawings, and this is like a little drawing I made inspired in one of the drawings that Frida has, in which she has like these little wings. Let's see if you can see it in this side as well. And here is a painting I made. Actually, I made this one. Viva Frida won many awards, and among them, it won the Purabel Pre-Award, which is a fabulous award, and they asked me to create some more artwork so that it will go in the program. This is something I did for the program. But in Viva Frida itself, I also use some paintings on paper, like this. And I used that because I wanted to celebrate that Frida was an artist, and what she did is that she painted. She painted with her brushes on canvas, and those were her creations. We also create. Actually, when you go and sleep and dream, you are creating too. You know, those dreams that you have, they are part of your creativity, your creation. So when I wanted to imply that Frida was dreaming and that she dreamed, just like we all dream, I wanted it to be something that was of her own creation. So I was inspired in one of her paintings, as if she will go inside the dream of the things that she loves herself. And she has a painting that is called La Venadita, and it's of Frida herself, that she is a little deer and she's been hurt. And I know when I see that painting, is that what I believe is that Frida was talking about how our own pain and the things that are hard for us, sometimes, not sometimes actually, it's always ourselves who are gonna find a way to cure ourselves. We find the ways to heal ourselves and to take that pain away, but sometimes it is a journey. So Frida goes into a journey of finding what is hurting the world, what is hurting her. And for that, I made these paper paintings. And then I'm gonna show you the back of the painting. I just put them on some cardboard, and we added strings so that we could make her fly. And with that, create a scene, just kind of like what I'm doing right now. You know, I will tie them in a place, and behind I will put something like clouds. I will put things like trees, and then we will take a photograph. And that photograph again will go inside my computer, and inside my computer I will do things like for example, erase strings, erase things like these wires, so that it will look like there wasn't anybody out, like me making these illustrations, but as if it was a real image. That was what I wanted to create. And you know, many other little things. Here is a book I made when I was asked to make a poster about the best books of, that was 2014, 2015, and Viva Frida was among some of them, those lists, and they asked me if I will make an image to use as a poster, and I decided to make a book for Frida, and I made it. I made this book based on how I learned to make books when I was just learning how to make books. Actually, when I wasn't an author yet or an illustrator. I took books from the library, from my public library, that taught how to bind books together. And I learned how to do those, so I will make like big books like this with my own stories. And when I was making this book, this little book, that was many years later, but I already knew how to make those books. I didn't remember all of the steps. So I went to another book so that I will remember how to create a book and bind all the pages together and make a little book like this. So these are some of the materials. There was a lot of work behind them. I'm just quickly showing you a little bit of what I did. Paintings, more puppets, like the puppet of Diego Rivera, which is missing now an eye, so I'm gonna show you this way. I made the shoes that she's wearing as well. I made them, everything had to be made, make it look like those coveralls that Diego Rivera, because he was also a painter, he was a Mexican muralist in real life, and he was the husband of Frida Kahlo, so I gave her his working clothes like he used to wear when he was alive, and then make these puppets so that I could put them together in a place, in a scene, kind of like when you are playing with your dolls. I used to do that when I was a little kid. I would put my dolls, and I would put like a little bed and my little doll here with trastecitos y cositas así, and I will enjoy it. What I did this time is not only I enjoyed it, but I also took photographs. I put them in my computer, and then I did some more work. And that's how the book Viva Frida came to be. And now with that, let's see, Jessenia Vasquez, hey, hola, muchísimo gusto, qué bueno que están aquí. And Joanna and Sarah and many of you, thank you. And today I'm gonna read Viva Frida, now that we see a little bit of how it was made. I'm gonna share this story. And like I said, Frida Kahlo was a real person. She was a Mexican artist. And the reason why I always love Frida is because Frida is Mexican, like I am Mexican. And when I went to the United States, I didn't know that people like me, Mexicans, could also be artists, or could also write books, or could also be valuable people. And I don't know if you can see this. Sometimes you have to be an immigrant, or you have to come from a place like Mexico or Central America or South America to know that, or be a child as well, to know that sometimes we feel like we have to be something spectacular to be valued. And the truth is that we are already spectacular. And you can see it when you realize that to be someone like Frida Kahlo, a great painter that I admire, sometimes you just have to be yourself. And it starts like this. Viva Frida, by su servidora, Yuji Morales. And it all starts with this page, and you can already see something is going on. Here's a little monkey, and something is happening with a key, and this looks like an artist's studio. And now we begin. Actually, we begin here. And this is both in English and Spanish. Soy. I am. Yo. I. Busco. Search. I'm going to try to put the book in the right place so that you can see it. And see if you can find out what is she searching for. ¿Qué está buscando? Veo. I see. What does she see? Aha! Do you see that key? And this is, what do you think this she's looking inside? Is she looking inside the box? What might be inside? Let's find out. Juego. I play. You see what was inside that box? You can see it right here. Sé. I know. Do you think that little monkey knows? Well, maybe if he doesn't know yet something, he will learn. Sueño. I dream. Can you see what Frida is dreaming about? Something happens right here, and then here, and there she goes. Y me doy cuenta, and I realize. What do you think that she realizes? What's going on? Can you see something is happening? Let's see. De que that. You see what she has found? Right here. Siento. I feel. What do you think that she feels right now? What do you think that little deer feels now? Y entiendo, and I understand. I'm gonna show you something if you haven't seen it yet. The little deer right here, she's going with her, and that little deer has this blue ribbon that Frida was wearing on her hair before. And it's like a symbol of how we have things to heal ourselves, to help heal others. So it says, y entiendo, and I understand, que amo, that I love. Do you think that she feels love? I think she feels love. And I think that she feels loved. She is loving too. Y creo arte, and I create. Can you see her creating art? Y por lo tanto, and so, vivo. I live. And there she is. when we finish a story here in Mexico, my family, we always say like this. We close the book and we say, y colorín colorado, este cuento se ha acabado. So I made Viva Frida because I love the work of Frida Kahlo, but more than anything, what I love is to recognize that artists do things just exactly the way we all do it. We all have our hearts beating, we all breathe. We all already know how to take a pencil in our hands. If you don't use a pencil with your hand, you can use your elbows, you can use your feet, you can do a dance. There are many ways of creating art, but we all have everything we have to do it. We search, we all look, we all dream, we all create, we are alive. We are already artists. And with this, I just want to thank you for being here. And Jessenia, thank you, Jessenia. I hope also that you can show this book to your children, to your daughters, your sons, your students, and hopefully you will also enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed making this book and also sharing it with everybody. This is Global Read Aloud Week, and we are celebrating it by reading books. Tomorrow I'm gonna be on the road. I start my trip. Actually, not exactly tomorrow, but I will already start my trip. So I'll try to connect wherever I am. If I'm at the airport, maybe I will read a book from the airport. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I just want to thank you for visiting today, for visiting here in my studio, and having a peek of what I usually don't get to show. I usually don't get to show how I make these books, and sometimes it's intimidating. You know how it's like when you haven't taken a shower and you're in your underwear or something of the sorts, and sometimes it's like that, like, ooh, you can see that, you know, that things don't look as good as they look in the book. Well, what it means is that we just keep working on it. Things don't have to look perfect. They don't have to look perfect to be part of the creation, to be part of the book, to be something that we enjoy. They just need to be done. Just do it. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye. Adios.